saw the sun for the first time today. It's been so long, I thought you'd gone away. And now I feel as though I've been here before. Once again, my friend, I'll see you till the end. Here I am, this is me. What you get is what you see. Look around, I am free, and there are no fears in me. At times the world seems to scare me so. I don't know where I'm headed, and I don't know where I'll go.
Good evening and welcome to Queeries. I'm Brian, your host, and with me this evening I have a local celebrity, Amelia Robinson, with me. Is that too much?
Local celebrity, local and celebrity,
No, okay. Someone well known,
local person.
local personality, Amelia Robinson. How about that?
That's what I put on my business cards. Local person, Amelia Robinson.
Awesome. So for those who don't know who you are, why don't you just briefly introduce yourself, what you do, that sort of
Well,
thing.
I'm Amelia Robinson, like you just said. I work for Dayton Daily News. Dayton.com is one of my main things I do for the Cox Media Group. I have a new podcast that's been coming out for I think we're on episode number 13. It's called What Had Happened Was, and basically is about what had happened was. I'd like to talk to people about their stories and get the real deal about why they are the way they are and who they are and that sort of things. So I do that. Been doing a column called Smart Mouth for Dayton Daily News for I don't know, God, I'm old. I think it's been like 15 years. Feels like it just started yesterday. But I've been doing that for about 15 years, and I do food reporting and entertainment and lifestyle coverage. I like to tell stories that people can relate to about real people.
Because, real people are actually more interesting than what they think they are.
They are, and I don't really people always say who was the most famous person you've ever talked to, and I always forget those people. I care about the actual real Jones and James public, or put James in there too, James and Joan and all the Q's and all the rest of them.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, those are more interesting stories to me.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Now, I think that, I think that what's kind of interesting about what you do and the opportunity that it actually sort of gives you and kind of gives everyone else is, in society, it's like I barely even know my neighbors where I
Yeah.
live. And I think part of the issue has been that it becomes very easy to, well, I don't know who or what you are, but
Yeah, keep you at bay.
keep you at bay, that kind of thing. And I think one of the most important things, like especially with Harvey Milk, for example, it's like come bursting out of your damn closet and let people know who you are, so they know that it's their brother, it's their
Right, we're all people.
Exactly. So, just in terms of that, what has been, I guess, maybe one of the more fascinating people that you've spoken with?
Oh, well, okay. The person that comes to mind is a woman who lives, it's not Dayton Towers, but it's a tower near Dayton Towers here downtown. She had a very unexpected story. I was thinking I was going to be a typical, sort of, this woman she was a Goodwill Easter Seal client, and I thought, oh, this is going to be like a fun cute little story, but she had this story about how she was abused her whole life, and how she was actually put in a nursing home when she was in her 40s and treated poorly. But the thing that got me and continues to stay with me is that her spirit was so alive. All these horrible things happened to this woman, but she had the spirit of a champion and a spirit of courage like I've never seen in a person before. She was like, well, I'm 60 years old. Can't remember exactly her age.
Sure.
But she had wasted away in a nursing home this whole time, but she wanted to live her life.
Wow.
She's like, now I can feel free to do the things I want to do. She was a little, she had some issues, but she was able to do the things she wanted to do. And for me, that always would be one of my favorite stories because that lady is such a champion and a real wonderful woman.
Well, and I think too that, we get caught up in this cult of celebrity and, like, do I care that celebrity X went to the grocery store and they went without makeup on? No. What does that do? I mean,
Yeah, that informs nothing. It
Yeah.
says nothing about the world.
yeah, and thankfully, Kim Kardashian and that. I'll stop there because
Yeah.
it's just pointless drivel. And because to your point, actual people, their stories are far more interesting, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons like Dave Chappelle lives in Yellow Springs is because he doesn't want to be, you know, part of that nonsense and the celebrity all the time, and people see him all the time, and it's like, there's Dave Chappelle. You don't run up to him and like tackle him or ask for his autograph because you want him to be able to live his life and be a regular person. I mean, people do to get excited, obviously, when we get celebrities, you know, come in town, but you know, I don't think that's necessarily what we want to do.
No, people are people. It's like, look, I've got an inordinately large personal space bubble. It's like, you know what, I see you over there from afar, Mr. Chappelle, and how you doing?
How you doing?
And there you go. Now, in terms of, so since you do like entertainment and food and all that kind of stuff, one of the things I've noticed is that Dayton really is kind of becoming a foodie paradise.
Oh, yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, there's an entrepreneurial spirit here that I just love. Like the food trucks are just great. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of times, as you know, it's really expensive to open up a restaurant.
Right.
But a lot of food trucks are coming on, and now they're becoming like brick and mortar restaurants now.
Like Zombie Dogs, I think.
Zombie Dogs and Hunger Pains now, and there was a couple. My colleague just wrote about a bunch of them, and they're not really coming to mind now. But yeah, there's a bunch of them who started off as food truck, and now they want to do this whole restaurant thing, and it's great. We also have like more ethnic food than we give ourselves credit for, which
really?
I love. Yeah, but you do have to look a little bit harder,
Sure.
and you have to want to find it.
Well, that's true. That is true. Yeah, because I stumbled. You know, this was like a year or so ago against. It's not was it a repos? The Colombian.
Yeah.
I'm horrible with names, which is terrible. Do you think that Dayton itself, from your perspective, and this is just in terms of you know the people that you interview, you know the entertainment, the you know opportunities to expand your culinary palate, that kind of thing. Do you think Dayton gets a bad rap?
Yes, it does, and Dayton also gives itself a bad rap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I'm from Cleveland, right? And I grew up in the 80s and the 70s. Well, not the 70s, I was born in the 70s, but 80s and the 90s, right? And we had that whole mistake on the lake sort of thing on our back. But people in Cleveland always had this pride, and like anybody said anything about Cleveland, you get punched in the nose.
Right.
Dayton, on the other hand, sometimes, and it's not necessary, does it to itself. It punches itself in the nose and says, oh, this sucks. Like I'll write a story about a cool thing, and somebody will say, oh, that's horrible. I'm not going to go see that thing. Dayton's a horrible town. So we do it to ourselves a lot, too. And I think that's because of the small town in the shadows of the three big cities. You got Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus. And it's like, well, we're not those guys. We don't have to be those guys. We can be ourselves and still be a cool place to visit. And it's like a lot of cool people, a lot of cool things to do here.
I mean, honestly speaking, of all the cities in Ohio, Cincinnati is probably the most beautiful skyline.
Oh, that's wrong, Cleveland.
I haven't been to Cleveland in a long time. I'll have to go up and check it out. But sometimes it's like, oh, the people there, dear Lord, seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, I work at Procter & Gamble. Well, unless you invented Pringles or Tide, I don't really care.
Right.
You know, big deal. You know, and the thing I like about Dayton, I've been here. I come from Northwest Ohio, small town in Northwest Ohio.
Where you come from?
Van Wert.
Oh, Van Wert, I know Van Wert.
Yeah, it's easy to miss as you drive to Toledo or you know as far as that goes. But so for me, coming to Dayton, I came down here to go to college. I got my bachelor's and master's degree here. Moved to Indianapolis for 2 years, and then moved back and have been here ever since. So I've collectively been here. Let's see, that's 26 years collectively.
Wow.
Yeah,
You like it?
It's amazing. Yeah, and it's amazing since I'm only 29.
Exactly. I'm like, how is that possible?
It's
Doing the
amazing.
math.
It's the magic of Dayton.
You were a baby genius. Is what it was.
See, someone who recognizes it. Thank you for finally doing that. But I think it also depends on perspective, because for me, the largest city I had ever really been to was coming here to Dayton.
Okay.
You know, and it completely freaked me out initially because it's like, I come from a town of like 10,000 people, and they all look the same.
Right.
And here I'm like, holy mackerel, there's a whole world out there, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I really do like it here. I you know,
It's a great town.
it is. I would agree. Now, in terms of everything that you've kind of that you report on and that you talk about and that you've experienced, so let's start with food.
Okay.
What has been one of your more favorite places to go and eat?
I'm gonna get the name wrong. It's a La Piazza. No, it's a. I see the name in my brain, but I can't. It's a little Mexican grocery store near the Dayton Mall, and they have the best tacos in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's gonna kill me. It's like La Piazza. I'm sorry. You can just like edit it, the correct word back in.
Well, what we'll do is we'll have Randy actually flash the name up on the screen. There you go. This is what she was talking about.
But they have great tacos. It's good, really good Indian food here.
Oh, I would agree. Oh, dear Lord. I live just so close to Amar, India, that honestly speaking, I would roll around in a vat of the dish I always eat there. And
What do you have, Sog? That's
I love their chicken dal.
Oh.
Yeah, chicken dal, get it with garlic naan, and good to go. Yes, your breath smells horrible afterward, but my God, what a way to go.
Sometimes it's worth it, right?
Oh,
And
dear
stinky
Lord,
breath.
Oh, Lord, it is. It's the only restaurant I don't mind coming out of smelling like it, because I love it that much. But yeah, and again, there's the Colombian restaurant. Gosh, I could have sworn I heard that there was an Ethiopian restaurant.
There is.
There is an Ethiopian
It's
restaurant?
really, oh, goodness. Oh, Jesus. Can't remember anything. He'll have to flash that one too. But it's out Main Street. Young woman owns it. Really cool lady. Gosh, why can't I think of any names of anything today?
You're like me. I mean, look, I'm a trained historian, and I can't remember names at all, which is really sad.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I meet a lot of people, right?
Well, exactly, yeah.
And sometimes, and this is going to sound horrible, when I interview people, it's like, I need you, I need you, I need you. Gotcha. Okay. Jettisoned out of the brain.
Well, right, yeah, because you've got to make room for more.
Yeah, and it's like not because I'm being mean or anything but that, but it's only so much storage capacity in my brain.
Right. So
with names and things, it's like always harder for me to remember.
Yep.
And sometimes people come up and say, well, you interviewed me in 19 whatever, or first of all, I wasn't here in 19 whatever, but okay.
Okay, sure.
But it's like, a guy called me the other day and said, you remember at that time I called you about this story? Well, first of all, who are you? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't keep voice print records, that I can compare here.
Yeah.
That's great. That's the other thing that's kind of weird too, is when you stop and think, like, on a couple of occasions I've been stopped in public. Oh my God, you're on that show. Yeah. I am. I think it's that gay thing. Yeah. Oh, we love you. And it's like, okay, thank you. And but then there've also been some incidents where it's like, I won't even repeat what one person actually said. I mean, they were a fan of the show, and I'm going to leave it at that. But it's like, ew.
Yeah.
Do you get that too?
Yeah, well, I get mostly positive interactions with people, but by and large, very positive people. I really appreciate people caring about the work I do and caring about Dayton Daily News, Dayton.com, and our missions, which are to entertain and inform and inspire and change things, policies, and all that. So I really appreciate it. But sometimes the negativity parts comes out too of people, because you are in the public eye in a sense. Okay, we are in the public eye.
Right.
No matter how I try to deny it, we are in the public eye. So like people think that they can say things to you that they wouldn't say to an actual person, because you're not really a person to them. So that is kind of weird.
How do you deal with that? I mean,
well, I don't mind that so much as I mind people who sit on computer screens, or who will send you a nasty note in the middle of the night, or call you up in the middle of the night knowing that you're not going to be there to respond, or they attack you for personal reasons, or things that have absolutely nothing to do with the story that you put out. That I have a problem with, and that is unfortunately gotten a lot worse. And it's scary times. We just had the newspaper shooting in Maryland, and every journalist I know has gotten threatened or called out their name or whatever. So you never think that somebody's going to actually do something, but
now you have that. But now it's kind of like that whole.
Yeah.
We're going to take the anxiety up a notch or two.
Yeah, we're gonna kick it up. We'll put some spice in that for you.
Hey,
So.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that is the one thing that does astound me. I mean, it's. Do you feel like you're kind of ensnared in the whole fake news thing that, which is just mind-boggling to me? It's like, sorry, news that you don't like about you is not fake.
Well, it's like Fox News is not news. I don't particularly like the station or what they do, but it's still news. It's just spun a different way. You know what I mean? I was actually at the Trump inauguration back in 2016, and this guy from Cincinnati, I said, "Oh, you guys are from Cincinnati, I want to talk to you, they're in the area." And he says, "Fake news," and he laughs. And I'm like, what? I'm actually a reporter. This is actually a tape recorder we're recording. I'm actually going to report the news, so how's it fake? So you just got to push back from that. I mean, you got to, I love the First Amendment, right?
Sure.
I believe in our country and the tenets we stand for. It's important, and it's important to remind people that it's important. You know what I mean? So.
Well, and how do you think you can overcome that? Where, I mean, journalists have been listed as, one of the greatest dangers to this country, which is beyond reprehensible and irresponsible speech.
Right.
Because now you've become, well, you're an enemy of the state, so whatever we do to you is fine.
Well, and I'm not going to say that those comments had anything to do with Maryland. That's for other people to decide.
Sure.
But at the same time, that they don't help. They don't help.
Yeah.
They actually harm our ability to inform the public and to keep people, safe in their communities and aware of the good things and the bad things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is going to be. That I think it's going to come down to individuals remembering what this country is about. It's not about me asserting my will over you.
Right.
It's about us being a community and figuring it out and working together and making the society better. So that's what I think we need more of.
Right. No, I would agree. I mean, it's the social fabric of this country has been just shredded at this point, and things just keep getting. So how do you remain positive? So I think that's a good thing, a good point to ask you. How do you remain positive when, I mean, because with the 24-hour news cycle, I would imagine that all the bad news that we're constantly hearing, it's probably no greater than it has been in any other year. It's just simply the echo chamber that it's put in, kind of thing. I mean, I don't know if I'm being Pollyanna here. I'm hoping that that's maybe the case, or maybe things really are going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
But how do you remain positive in the face of something like that?
Well, here's the thing. There's still beauty in the world. There are still people getting married and babies being born. And I saw Butterfly today. New restaurants going to open. Somebody is going to go into business for themselves. Somebody's dream is coming true every single day. And it's hard to see those things sometimes, but it's also very important to see them. A lot of times as a lifestyle reporter, columnist, I do a funny column, whatever, too. People say, well, that's frivolous. That's like, not important news. But I'll argue with anybody who says that. It is important news. It tells our story, too.
Right.
So you just have to remember that even in the darkest times, there's always light and there's always hope. And as long as people really, now I'm becoming very Pollyanna right now. But I can go on and on and on.
No, that's all right.
I'm on my box, right? But as long as there's people who are willing to enjoy life and appreciate the values that we all collectively agree with, we're gonna be okay.
Yep. Well, we'll make it through somehow, some way.
One way or the other, we'll make it through.
Oh my God! At this point, it's almost like one bottle of wine at a time. But
one bottle of bourbon.
That's for really bad days. It's like I joke. I actually work from home for the company that I work for, and it's like I am not giving up that 15-foot commute to my liquor cabinet on a bad day. So I guess the other thing, where do you see sort of yourself going? I mean, you're going to keep, chugging along, with what you're doing?
I really do love my job. I love telling Dayton stories. I love that I work where I do a place that allows me to be creative and to try new things, like the podcast, for instance. I like to do new challenging things. That's a new challenging thing for me. It's like this is an area that I'm interested in. I've been listening to podcasts, and I think that's a new way for us to tell stories.
Sure.
So I like to find new things like that. As long as I'm doing that, I'm cool.
Awesome. Very cool. And if someone wanted to find, articles that you have written or find your podcast, where would they go?
You go to Dayton Daily, Dayton.com, your source for what to do, what to know, and what to love about Dayton. Also Dayton Daily News, I'm on there. I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook. It's Amelia Robinson. I'm all over the Dayton.com Facebook page, and as well as my own Facebook page.
And your podcast can be subscribed to through there, or?
You can find it on iTunes, Stitchers, Google Play, all over the the podcast universe. It's called What Had Happened Was.
What happened was?
Yeah, and it's a picture of me with, well, it's not me, but it's a picture of some red framed glasses, sunglasses, so that's how you can find it real easy.
Gotcha. Very cool. All right, awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here and spreading your version of sunshine,
Thank
which
you.
I love. And we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for Gnoming Around. I'm Mike the Gnome. I'm going to bring to you some information for a very popular perennial to zones 4 to 9, the lily. I'm going to briefly touch on the major varieties and types of lilies and some basic information for each. First is the Asiatic lily. These are by far the easiest lilies to grow. They're also the earliest lilies to bloom, generally mid to late spring. This variety doesn't tend to have a scent, but they do have the widest variety of colors. The height of the Asiatic lily can range from 2 to 4 feet. There are also miniature versions that only get to about a foot or so tall. These do well in complete full sun or low sun locations. Mine do very well in a run along a fence that only gets 2 to 4 hours of sun a day. Our second variety is probably the most sought after, is the Oriental lily. This lily is much taller than the Asiatic, with most being between 3 and 6 feet tall. They bloom later in midsummer mostly. Their blooming colors range from the light reds and pinks to the whites. These, however, are very fragrant, and hummingbirds just love them. If you have a section of these, you will love how the breeze will just bring that scent to you. And the third kind that we're going to talk about is the trumpet lily. These are pretty similar to the Oriental lily, and they do get quite tall, about 5 feet tall, but they tend to be a little less fragrant as the Oriental lily. But the major difference really is the shape of their bloom. They get their name from the trumpet look, being more of a large tube. Time for the more you know. The lily is said to have been created from the breast milk of Hera, wife of Zeus. The goddess Venus was apparently so envious that she caused the pistil to grow through the middle of the flower's bloom. In general, the lily has always been a symbol of purity. Particularly for the death of children, martyrs, and saints, lilies have been sprinkled on the ground or around their graves throughout history to represent purity passing on. This is why lilies are also looked at to be a sign of death as well. No matter the purpose, lilies have always been referred to as the pure flower. And that's the more you know. If you plan to use lilies in your garden, which you should consider planting them in a mass or in groups together. This gives a wow factor to all that intensity of color and magnificent blooms, regardless of the variety that you have. You may also want to consider different varieties of lilies, so that way you have consistent and constant bloom throughout the mid-spring to late summer. I hope you enjoyed our time for the lily. Until next time, I hope to see you out gnoming around.
And welcome back. And again, Amelia, thank you so much for being on the show. This is your first time, so
Yeah, it's great.
I think what would be fun is to have you back on another occasion, and you can sort of be our roving eyes, the Queeries roving eyes across Dayton.
Query eyes. And
Queer eye for Dayton, or something like that. Something like that. So again, thank you so much. And Dayton.com, we can find you there. DaytonDailyNews.com, we can find you there. We can find you on iTunes, on Google Play, on
Stitcher, all that stuff.
All that stuff. So basically, you're all over the place.
Yeah,
It's really,
you can't get away from me.
everywhere I turn, there's Amelia. Oh my God. No, very cool. Well, and thank you for what you do, because it really is important. And I think especially the whole point of you getting to know real people and introducing those real people to everyone else, sharing their stories. I think that's really an important thing, especially in these crazy times that we're currently living in. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you for what you do too.
I do what I can with what I've got. Awesome. And thank you very much for watching the show, and we'll see you next week.
So